So I want to start off with a key moment in the chapter where we talked about this mystery ally. Right, we got this mystery ally. Vegapunk called him up, said, "Hey, can you help me? The world government's trying to kill me. I know that this is pretty much going to give away your hiding, your secrecy, and everything. So I hate to do this to you, but I need help." And whoever it was like, "Hey, this is pretty much what I've been waiting for." So the question is, who is this mystery ally that Vegapunk was talking to? Let's start off with Joy Boy.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I know, who you're thinking of,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not too sure if it'd be that person just with how it was stated in the scans. Have to wait for the official translation because it almost seemed like the Marines wouldn't have to go after this person unless they helped Vegapunk.
I don't know who it is.
What was you finished, Joy Boy?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So hold on, real quick. Let me touch on. You said your last point. You said it's almost as if what the Marines wouldn't have gone after this person.
Yeah, because I can't remember who said it, which one of the satellites, but it was like if they help us now, like they wouldn't have anywhere else to hide with the Marines slash world government going after them.
Yeah.
So it almost made it seem to me like they hadn't had any like previous beef with the world government or the Marines.
Yeah. I can agree with that. But I think what you just said right there, I think it furthers my belief or my theory on who it is. You know what I'm saying? Because just for that reason, you know what I mean. I'll let Cube go because Cube seemed like he have an idea of who or he has some
My
type of
question,
speculation.
my question was who did Blunt think? Because just Joyboy been saying somebody, but I forgot who you thought it was.
Oh,
That was my question.
so you want to know who I think it is? So you
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
you.
That's
I'm guessing you didn't watch the chapter reaction. All right. So I'll start off with my speculation who it could be. I'm thinking it's Scopper Gaban. That's who I think it is. Why? Why might you ask? Okay. All right. So one, I'm thinking this is a character that we either may have seen before but haven't seen in a while. You know what I mean? They might be in hiding this whole time. Or somebody who it could be a new character, right? It could be a new character that we've never heard of at all. His name never been mentioned at all in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be a character that his name has been mentioned. Maybe he has been shown, but he hasn't been shown in the current timeline, right? I'm kind of thinking it's the third option. I'm thinking it's somebody who hasn't been shown in the current timeline at the very least, but is at least known. You know what I'm saying? Like we're aware of this person's existence, right? And one character I think we could kind of say fits that description is Scopper, right? Another reason, right? To me, this arc is starting to kind of at least in this portion of the arc, right? It's reminded me of Sabaody. It's giving me Sabaody vibes, right? And what did we know from Sabaody? Luffy punched the Celestial Dragon. That forced Kizaru to show up, right? Kizaru was chasing Kizaru was chasing the Straw Hats. The Straw Hats were trying to escape. Who shows up? Rayleigh, right? Rayleigh shows up, stops Kizaru, gives the Straw Hats time to escape. Rayleigh, the right hand man of the Pirate King, shows up to pretty much help the Straw Hats escape from Kizaru, right? And what I'm seeing is like Kizaru is here, right? Again, Kizaru, he's here to stop or capture the Straw Hats or kill them or whatever, right? And where was I going? So he's here to do it. So the Straw Hats are trying to escape as well. Like they're trying to leave. They're trying to just It seems like they're trying to avoid conflict and just get out of here with Dr. Vegapunk. But who's here? Kizaru again, right? He's there to play the foil. So in this case, I think it kind of mirrors Sabaody. And instead of having the right hand man of the old Pirate King, Gold D. Roger, this time we'll have the left hand man. You know, Rayleigh was in the Grand Line, the first half, right? And there we have Scopper. I believe this would be a great way to bring in Scopper, right? He's the left hand man of Goldie Roger. He comes in, pretty much stops Kizaru from chasing the Straw Hats. Straw Hats get away and everything. So it will kind of mirror that aspect in a sense. So yeah, that's kind of my belief. You know, and plus it's like what Joy Boy said kind of furthers my idea. Scopper, we know that Scopper was an enemy of the world government at some point, right? Like especially being a Rogers pirate. But it seems like maybe for a while he's been laying low key, so he's still enemy of the world government, but he's been off their radar because he's been in hiding or been disappeared for so long. So that furthermore make me believe that yes, he could be the guy that they're talking about because he fits like Joy Boy's reasoning. You could say that works exactly well for Scopper Gaban, right? The fact that he's not a immediate enemy of the world government, but if they find out where he is, then and he's back on their radar, then yes, he'll be an enemy again. You know.
Wow. Great minds think alike, Blums, because I had a similar thought as you. Because I went for the Sabaody parallel as well. I thought of the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's either Gaban, it's a big guess, so I might agree with that. But I believe, because I had this idea, and I think it could also be a certain seraphim. And I've been saying this, that phrase at the end, he was excited to take that heat.
Yeah,
and the way they said he'll take care of all CP0. I was wondering if Vegapunk ever did a seraphim Roger, because the world government had Roger's body. Because it would fit on the thing. If he had done a Seraphim Roger, it would have been a huge crime.
Yeah.
Just his existence of him existing. It does fit the other stuff. But I think the number one for me is Scopper Gaban. But I always wondered that Roger's last sentence to Rayleigh, and I remember we saw that in Sabaody, that the same parallel scene. What did he say? I will never die, partner. I won't die, partner. So what if, like, there's a lineage factor of Roger, they have it, and,
Yeah. And shout out to Melon King.
What's up, man?
But I my disagreement with Roger, right? My disagreement would go him being a seraphim, right? Like him being a seraphim, he would just be a weapon. To me, wouldn't he just be a weapon for the world government or Vegapunk to where he would just command the seraphim, like Vegapunk, like even if Vegapunk just kept this Roger Seraphim for himself and not to give it to the world government as like a ace up the sleeve, right? I would think that he would like have some level of Vegapunk would have some level of control over this Seraphim to where he wouldn't need to ask. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna add on to that, Blump. It was a conversation done through Dindin Mushi, and we know that Seraphims can't take orders through Dindin Mushis.
Yeah.
I said Seraphim, but I said my whole thing is either some sort of veteran based off Roger, because I've been always that sentence in that parallel scene of Sabaody and Roger saying at that same in the flashback, I won't die, partner. I'm wondering if this will return. But my first guess is Scopper Gaban. My whole thing is I said Seraphim because that's what we know right now, but I think it could be like some sort of like Seraphim clone-like version of Roger that Vegapunk worked on.
Yeah, but my pushback on what you said, Joy Boy, is it's like it seems like whoever this is has like a actual will, like an actual. They're just like a normal will, right? Like I've never heard them. I never seen them really ask any Seraphim or Pacifista to do anything. Like, and the Seraphim or Pacifista,
yeah,
do
no.
it. So it's like to me, it's like that. Even then, that still doesn't make sense because then it's just like we'll just have to go to him and then command him. And if it was a Seraphim, I wouldn't think he would just be. out willy-nilly doing whatever. He would be somewhere in like a chamber where they could access him
Yeah.
easily
Yeah, no,
in
I
order
don't think it's
to.
a seraphim. That's why I was just saying about the
Yeah,
Nimbushes.
and I agree. I just said seraphim,
You're
but
just
I agree
adding
with
on.
you.
Oh,
Yeah, I said seraphim because closest thing, but because my whole thing is I think the seraphim of the Shichibukai were done in a certain way, the lineage factor, to be loyal to the world government, and I think he's been working on a project on his side on that, like something that they will never listen at all the world government.
yeah.
Like he's been doing on Egghead without them even knowing. That's my whole thing. So I said seraphim, but it could be like a new invention a new type of clone, like maybe his own version of a true Germa clone that he made of Roger. Because that sentence of Roger always hits me. And now that you talk about the parallel of Sabaody, of Kizaru versus Rayleigh, it could be Gaban. There's also that scene, I think, in that same episode or the episode afterwards or the episode before, where he says, "I won't die, partner,"
But
which I find it very interesting.
Well,
just
like with
go ahead.
that, like I think it's more of him saying like his will and memory will live on, because it's like kind of the same thing, like with the conversation between Toki and Odin, like before his execution. They pretty much said the same thing.
Yeah,
That even if I die today, I won't die or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
So I think it's more of a carrying on of will. I really hope we won't see like some Roger Seraphim or
Yeah.
Roger clone.
Or what Carol said
just-
about people living forever as long as they're remembered.
Yeah.
Roger is one of the most famous. He always lived forever. So it's like, according to that logic. And how like the context it was stated was like whoever this person was in hiding. It was like they were in hiding. They were hiding from the world government. So if it was like a seraphim, I don't get why a seraphim would be in hiding.
Well, I think a seraphim. My whole thing is that the seraphim Roger, literally having a seraphim that looks like Roger would be the biggest danger for because he's like the pirate cake. He's like it's the most, like they want to kill his entire lineage. So the fact that there's a copy of Roger running around and Vegapunk is out with Luffy would make it like.
But I don't see him. I don't see him having to ask him though if he's like some type of invention, like if he's a seraphim or like some type of pacifist or anything. I don't see why Vegapunk would need to ask instead of just maybe sending one of the other Vegapunks to go get him. You know what I mean? Like maybe like, hey Lilith, go get that go get the our special person or something, you know what I mean? But it seemed like whoever this was just somebody who was using Vegapunk as like to hide from the world government, and like they weren't like invented or something. So I don't know. It's just that one to me just don't seem like it fits, right? In my opinion, it being a seraphim, But I mean, hey, it's interesting speculation. You got anything else to add to the argument?
Honestly, no. But my first guess is, but the one thing I'm sure of it's a Roger Pirate connection, because it will be the perfect parallel to what you said. Because I thought of the same thing as you.
Yeah.
That I agree. It's a Roger Pirate, maybe Gaban, but yeah, that's my last thought.
And I also think it's like, I mean, I guess Oda never promised that Scopper was going to be brought into the story at any point, but if he is, I think this is probably going to be the best way to bring him in, right? Because to me, it would parallel like Rayleigh's introduction into the story in a few ways, and because I'm starting to think, like, based on this, I'm not sure if Kizaru and Luffy are even going to fight. You know what I mean? I think whoever this person is, they might step in and like interrupt the Kizaru and Luffy fight, or they might step in for Luffy and fight Kizaru and give Luffy that opportunity to run away, or not run away, but like escape with Vegapunk. I ain't trying to make it seem like Luffy is scared or anything, but
and before I let Angel go, I'm just gonna say why Scopper Gaban would be the perfect parallel is that there's this rumor that the sexton and all those navigator stuff were around Scopper Gaban on the ship. So Rayleigh, who was coding the ship, if Gaban is a navigator, is the perfect like parallel to it. Both connected to a ship, and all Roger pirates.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm done. Yeah. Oh.
All right, Angel. You know, you had some time to cook. You know, what's your thoughts on this mystery ally?
I don't have an opinion. I don't know, but
Okay.
I like your guys' ideas.
All right. So so y'all have any like are there any suggestions who else it could possibly be? You know, like y'all think about like who else it could possibly be that, you know, I know Scopper's my like to me Scopper makes the most sense. You know, like I tried to think of who made the most sense. It would either be Scopper or a new character that we've never heard of. And um I mean, I guess it's not too late for us to bring in new characters, you know, as long as they have some relevance. But I can't think of nobody else. You know, Scopper to me just, you know, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense, especially with the context of where we're at in the story. It just makes sense. People were always making parallels with previous arcs and current arcs, and I see a lot of Sabaody. You know, I see a bit of Sabaody in when it comes to this specific moment of Kizaru having to show up. You know, yeah. So any other speculations on who it could be?
Just throwing one out there. I don't really think it would be, but like even it's kind of connected to Sabodi too. But the one missing um Empress of Amazon Lily.
Oh,
Mm. So
I guess it would be cool to see her.
I have a
is
I
that
have
not
a
is that not shaky?
No, it's the generation before her.
yeah.
Oh,
There's a
Wow, that
but
person must be really old.
I will counter this because I am starting to see what's called. I have this idea that I think Crocodile, if he was a woman before, I have an idea that he might actually be connected to Amazon Lily, and he fits on in his generation, the age he is, he would fit the whole secret impress of thing. So I'm going with the idea. So that's why I have a pushback because I'm thinking Crocodile might be connected to that impress.
are you saying you think Crocodile is the Empress?
Yeah, either he was the empress, the third empress, because it also explains because I said that if he was from Amazon Lily and he was the empress, it would explain that maybe 19 years ago is when he changed his gender, because 19 years ago we don't know why, but Hancock and her sisters were captured by the world government and they never explain how, and most likely whatever Crocodile did that pushed him to change his gender, as a retaliation they took like the next queens.
Mm.
Yeah, it'd be after giving birth to Luffy too.
All right.
No, I don't believe in the Crocomon stuff, but yeah. But it's just that I do like, because I think it's the type of woman. It was the woman he was, because Ivankov, if it was that, she said it's a weakness. And we know being a gender fluid is not a weakness in One Piece, but I think it's maybe the person that she was. So maybe like, and Crocodile has this thing of hiding behind people all the time. First time he showed himself with Barrack Works, he was invisible, then he reappeared. He has this thing of being the invisible person all the time.
Are you saying 18 years ago?
19 years ago.
You think he changed?
Yeah, because that's also the same moment Amazon Lily. Yeah.
That wouldn't be possible.
Why?
Because by then he would have already been a warlord.
Really? He was already a warlord 19 years ago?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Couldn't say.
I think he was like a warlord like 12 years ago, something like that.
He became a warlord in his early 20s, and he challenged Whitebeard shortly after that. So he would have been in his late 20s by then. So
I got some other names that I kind of wanted to throw out, and don't get me wrong, they're not names that I personally believe that it could be. It's just some names that's just kind of popped in my mind, and I just want to get your guys' opinion on how the likelihood or anything. And again, like I say, I don't personally believe it's any of these people, or all of them or whatever. I mean, it could be one of them maybe, but first name I want to add is what's his name? Weevil. First name I'm gonna add is Weevil. What y'all think about Weevil?
My first pushback on that is just how the person talked to the Denden Mushi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Weevil's not like one I firmly believe, but he's the enemy of the world government at this point. He might be in hiding, I could see. So I thought, and I'm thinking like maybe this person could have been the ex Shichibukai, right? And I think for the most part, we kind of know where most of Shichibukai are, but we know Crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy, they're all together pretty much. Boa's an Amazon Lily. Gecko Mori is with Blackbeard. Doflamingo's locked up. Mihawk, or I already said Mihawk. Law
Actually,
Law is fighting Blackbeard. What?
I might have a name actually, a character we haven't seen in a while, because I just think of it. Egghead is a floating island. What if it's Shiki? He's a guy from an old generation. We know that he must be alive if we know that he was in the movie The Strong World, but he is canon, so maybe maybe he survived, like it doesn't exist, so maybe it's Shiki.
Would Shiki be willing to help Straw Hat and Vegapunk though? You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
We know-
technically, in the canon of the story, he doesn't know Luffy.
Yeah. And if you think about it, he was a rock, so he's has the whole Joy Boy thing. And also, we know that in the Strong World movie, he was highly focused on the science part. The IQ plants and all that. He was doing scientific stuff, turning animals. If you think about all the animals, they were turning into special races. With Vegapunk doing similar stuff. So
and
it just can't.
I'm not asking would he help Luffy and Vegapunk because of the movie or because of any past relationship. I'm just saying, like, is it within Shiki's character to be helping people like this? You know what I mean? To just be doing like goodwill to people. You know what I mean? Would he be even at working with Vegapunk? You know, like that's what I'm asking. Not because of the movie or anything. It's just.
We really don't know his character.
Yeah.
Outside of Strong World.
I was gonna say he seems to be from the canon material we have with him, he seems to have a good relationship with Whitebeard. So he can't be as bad as he's depicted in the. Well, I'm not gonna say he can't be, but I don't think he is as bad as he's depicted in the Strong World movie.
Well, the relationship with Whitebeard could just be more of a respect factor, right? Like, it's like that don't necessarily mean he has to have a good disposition in general. It could just be he has a respect for Whitebeard, right? And I can only really go off by his, like, yeah, sure, like Strong World may not be canon, but as far as like the type of person he is, I can only really go off of like his character on that, because I don't know why Oda would make him one way in the movie, and then like if he's introduced in the story, he's like completely, like his personality is completely different. Like I get like him not knowing Luffy. I get like them ever meeting might not necessarily be canon, but I would think that maybe he would keep his personality somewhat consistent by how he was introduced.
But actually, I think there is a parallel in the canon wise, because 26 years ago, there was an Ed Wars between Shiki and Roger, but Shiki went there to do a partnership with Roger, and Roger refused. And then there was the storm that destroyed the entire fleet of Shiki, and Roger won, which I think there was more to it. But so we did see him go towards people for a certain purpose, and they refused, and he went to war with them. But and Roger, by that time, he had already destroyed the Rock Pirates with Garp 38 years ago. So it doesn't seem like he didn't bother him that much. Not bother him, you know what I mean?
And I think it would make sense, like if he keeps like his scientific curiosity nature from the movie, if that at least stays, then I wouldn't see why he wouldn't respect like the greatest scientist of the era, plus the man that potentially harbored him for 20 years.
Yeah.
After he broke out of Impel Down.
Yeah, I'm just giving a little pushback. Shiki is I think Shiki could be a viable option of who it could be. Just gotta play devil's advocate a little bit. But Another person I wanted to throw out, Melon King was, I guess kind of in line with what I was thinking, but Enel, right? Enel, we know Enel's been going, you know, he could be a tough guy. Lightning versus or electricity versus light, you know what I mean? That could be a pretty interesting matchup itself, So what about Enel? Now I would say my pushback on Enel because I don't fully believe in Enel either. My pushback would be I don't think he was ever on the world government's radar for what Vegapunk to have said to really make sense. He'd be putting himself on their radar, but it's not like they were looking for him before, you know what I mean? So, but
Yeah.
that one scene where somebody did the shut down the defenses of Egghead Island, somebody who could manipulate electricity or have control over electricity, it can make sense for that scene to have happened. But what do you guys think?
I mean, when it comes to, I'm just curious on what made him want to come down. That's what I would be curious about if it was him. But yeah.
I mean that and his whole god complex.
Yeah, with his whole god complex, I would be surprised that he hasn't attacked Luffy at all.
Not even Luffy. Think of it. Even I think listening to any of the satellites.
Oh,
I don't think so. Enel would have taken it, at one point. He
I don't know. Complex. I mean, when you think about it, though, right? Enel had a god complex before beating Luffy, so after losing that, could have kind of humbled him a little bit. I would think you would be humbled after, believing you're a god and getting defeated by somebody inferior to you. You know what I mean?
I guess so should Lucci on that train of thought after losing to Luffy back at Eni's lobby and then getting clowned on.
But not everybody
still not accepting him as an emperor.
But not everybody is the same though.
I don't think Enel's ego would let himself be humbled.
I mean, Crocodile, you could say the same thing about Crocodile, but he was humbled enough to work with Luffy, you know what I mean? So
this is my only counter argument to this is the fact that Enel still went to the moon. If he, because he said the moon is where gods should live. If he did not see himself as a god, why would he still go there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was already his goal. So I mean,
I know, but he's saying
because he thinks of himself as a god.
Yeah, he says that's where a god belongs.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was before he was defeated by Luffy. He was already planning to go there, so it's just kind of like he just continued. Like after being defeated, it's like what else do? You know what I'm saying? You just do what you was already going to do because you have nothing else to do. But he probably. But
it's the
he probably still went, but that doesn't mean he wasn't humbled after that.
I mean, to me, it's like the reason why he went, and I don't. Hold on, I gotta re-see his freaking.
So you interrupted me just to not. But I mean, have your thoughts together. See, that's what I.
But if he was humbled out of his god complex, why would he still want to go to where the gods belong?
Because he wanted to. Go. It's like
because it's not even that.
It's like if I was going to the store because hold on, I'm trying to think. If I bought a ticket to Disney World and I thought I was the greatest because I thought I was Mickey Mouse, but somebody pretty much told me I wasn't and proved to me, but I still got this ticket, I'm gonna still freaking go. I don't have to go thinking I'm Mickey Mouse anymore.
But the thing is, Blunt, you said it perfectly. It has to be somebody who's able to take on CP0, and that just seeing him would make him known and be a danger with the world government and the Marines. And just for that, Enel, I don't think so. He was known, and I don't think so. He had any interaction with world government CP0 stuff like that. So I don't see why that would be mentioned with the satellites.
And think about this, right?
Okay. Then,
hold on, think about
if
this.
If it's Shiki or if it's Scopper Gaban, why would it be mentioned when they already have beef with the world government?
Yeah, I mean that
So
exactly.
it's kind of like a pause to
They fit because
opposing.
they're in the story. They're in the story. He was literally in the white sea, so he wasn't even there. At that even if it was 20 years ago, if he was active, he was still in the white sea. So he wouldn't be known. His identity, just saying his identity, would not put him at risk. That's what I'm just saying. It's
And
weird
think
that
about
Enel
this.
would be at risk.
Think about this, because y'all getting this idea. Like, think about this. We don't know how. Like, we know a bit, but we don't know how much he learned on the moon, right? Like, he could have learned a lot of stuff that changed his perspective. You know what I mean? Like, he could have learned some stuff that changed his perspective. And even if I give y'all the fact that he wasn't humbled, we don't know what he could have learned. He might have learned that, like, hey, there's somebody, like, that's meant to be like carry the Nika wheel and everything. So we don't know what he learned that might have changed his perspective. And then he could have came back. It would have made sense for him to, when he come back to Earth, maybe go seek out somebody such as Vegapunk, who probably could put a lot of the stuff he learned on the moon in perspective. Like, he could have brought this information, like, hey, I hear you're the smartest person on land, you know what I'm saying? And help me figure this out, right? So yes, he might have had he might have still had his God complex, but his perspective could have changed based on what he learned on the moon. Like, maybe some of the stuff made him realize, like, the truth. Like, he could have learned the truth and learn that, hey, maybe I'm not a god. Maybe there's somebody else who is meant to be a god, like the guy who beat me,
Bellamy.
the guy
Bellamy
who
had that.
humbled my ass.
Think of how Bellamy.
I mean, looking.
Bellamy and post-time skip Bellamy
Q
was completely different.
What?
He
Would
still
you say,
stuck
Q?
to his guns.
Would you say, Q?
I said, think of Bellamy, pre-time skip Bellamy. After he went to post-time skip, he went to Skype and losing all of his crew. He was still different. He was quite different and Dressrosa. So it's true that Enel could whatever he went through the moon could do a few things, but I don't believe it to the fact that his identity by itself wouldn't cause any issue with the world government.
Looking at the last page, the last thing for his cover story, I don't know what to say, because like, he seems to still be the same. It doesn't seem like anything has changed, but I don't know.
But that's like
that 2 years ago
his cover story just doesn't end it, like, or whatever's going on with him just doesn't end there at the last cover story, right? Like, he's still there, right? Like, he's still there. So even after the cover story ended, he's still on the moon, still learning things, right? So I don't think that's just an end all be all right there, like what you said, Angel.
Yeah, I guess, but I'm just saying, like, it's gonna be. I wonder what happened. Like, it's just very difficult for me to see this dude changing. Like, what? Like, it's very difficult for me.
His personality might not fully change, but he might learn some stuff that might, like, make his mission change or something. Like, he might learn some stuff. It's like Crocodile, he changed a bit after Impel Down, but he was still his personality was still pretty much the same, but he was still willing to, he changed enough to be willing to work with Luffy. And yes, that was circumstances, because he was at Impel Down, and it's like he wanted to escape, so I get it. But, my point is, circumstances change you. It could change your perception to a degree. That don't mean you're not gonna, if you was a narcissist, just because you're willing to work with Luffy, that may not mean that you're not still gonna be a narcissist. You know what I mean? So, and what I'm saying with Enel is, he might have that God complex, but he could still change and still have a God complex and still be more open to working with somebody like Vegapunk.
Something like Crocodile, the one thing that changed also his attitude towards Luffy was also that I suspect that he might have known about the some God Nika story, and the way Luffy appeared in the Impel Down might have, like, given him a hint that he might be connected to that lore as well, like something bigger. So I think also that's also changed his point of view. Something that he can use.
Here's what I'll say. I'll wait for the Viz translation to see like what the Viz thinks he says. Cause like the only thing that's really stopping me from believing it is like the fact that he says like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this order." But like if the Viz has him saying something like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this moment," then I'll be like, okay, I can see it being him. That's like it's just the last word that's not order. Like
Um,
and Enel taking orders. It's like I don't know, but I'll wait.